Ever heard of Tommy LaFawn?
Can't say I have.
Well, get this. Formerly enslaved guy in Louisiana, early 1800s, ends up a millionaire. A millionaire. Through entrepreneurship and lending.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty impressive, especially for that era. It really makes you think about, the bigger picture of slavery in America.
Exactly. We often think of slavery as like everyone's experience was the same, but Tim Todd's book, Let Us Put Our Money Together, it's like eye-opening. It shows how some Black Americans, even back then, navigated the system, found ways to build wealth.
Right, and it wasn't easy. Even being free didn't mean you were on a level playing field, not even close.
No kidding. Laws back then restricting property ownership, what jobs you could have, it's wild.
And then you've got, like, the social pressure, the everyday discrimination.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, imagine being Fanny Kemble, a British actress. Todd quotes from her diary. She lived in Philadelphia in the 1830s, and she writes about how free Black Americans were treated as basically second-class citizens. Just awful.
Yeah, and let's not forget the constant fear. I mean, imagine being born free but always looking over your shoulder, worried about bounty hunters.
It's like, how can you even function with that kind of stress?
Right. Todd quotes Frederick Douglass.
Yeah.
He talks about it that fear was a constant part of life.
So given all that, how on earth did Black Americans manage to create anything resembling financial stability?
It's remarkable, isn't it? They found ways. Take William Johnson, for example, the barber of Natchez.
Okay, a barber who's making serious money.
Not just making money, making loans. Big ones. Todd says he was a prominent lender in Mississippi. It challenges everything we think we know about that time.
It really does.
And it shows how resilient they were. They couldn't rely on the traditional systems, so they created their own.
Like those mutual aid societies Todd talks about.
Exactly. And churches, too. They became financial hubs, pooling resources, offering loans, providing a safety net that the mainstream wouldn't.
It's like they built their own world, their own economy, out of necessity, really. And then comes the Civil War. Things change big time. You think, okay, now's the chance for Black Americans to really get ahead, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of hope, for sure. The Freedmen's Bank, it was supposed to be this new beginning, a way for formerly enslaved people to finally get a foothold in the financial world.
Seems like a no-brainer, right? Everyone needs a bank.
You'd think so, but, well, it didn't exactly work out that way.
What went wrong? Todd really digs into this, and it's kind of a wild ride.
Yeah, mismanagement, for one.
Yeah.
Plus this whole thing where people thought the government was backing the bank, like it was part of the Freedmen's Bureau or something.
Oh, so they thought their money was safe, like guaranteed safe.
Exactly. And some of the bank's leaders, even they were saying stuff like, hey, this is as secure as Uncle Sam's pocket.
Bold move. So no wonder folks were lining up to deposit their savings.
Right. And then Todd describes the bank's headquarters, this fancy building, all marble and walnut. It's like, wait a minute, where are the priorities here?
Yeah, not exactly sending the right message when so many of your depositors are just scraping by. But then, the panic of 1873, that's when things really hit the fan.
Huge financial crisis, banks failing left and right. The Freedmen's Bank, they'd made some risky bets, and they just couldn't weather the storm.
And this was after that whole thing with Jay Cook & Co. going belly up, right?
Yeah, that was a major blow. It's like the whole system was teetering, and the Freedmen's Bank, they just couldn't hang on.
So all those families who finally dared to dream, who put their faith in this institution,
they lost everything. It was devastating, a huge step backwards. Talk about a blow to the whole idea of Black economic empowerment.
Heartbreaking, really. Todd quotes Frederick Douglass. He got appointed president of the bank, but it was too late. Right before it all went under.
Talk about a poisoned chalice. He called it being married to a corpse.
Wow. You'd think that would be it, right? Game over for Black banking.
You would, wouldn't you? But that's the amazing part. They didn't give up. Instead, this whole new wave of Black-owned banks starts popping up, determined to do it right this time.
It's like, talk about picking yourself up and dusting yourself off after a major setback. They didn't let the Freedmen's Bank failure stop them?
Not even a little bit. They took that experience, learned from it, and channeled it into something new.
And these banks that started popping up, they were more than just banks.
Oh, absolutely. They were community hubs, places where people could find support, resources, a sense of belonging.
Todd talks about Capital Savings Bank in D.C., founded right after Grover Cleveland becomes president. What was the deal with that? Why the urgency?
Well, Cleveland, he was a Democrat, and a lot of Black Americans, they were worried about losing the progress they'd made during Reconstruction.
So it was like, okay, We need to secure our own future, build something that can withstand the political winds.
Exactly. And they drew in some amazing leaders. Milton Holland, for example, Civil War hero, Congressional Medal of Honor, the whole 9 yards.
You'd think that would be enough, right, to be recognized, to advance in the military.
You would think so, but nope. Denied promotion because of his race.
Just goes to show, even after all that, the prejudice was still there.
Deeply ingrained. But Holland, he dedicated himself to uplifting black communities through banking, became a leader in Capital Savings Bank, never gave up on the fight for equality.
What a story. So we've got these banks popping up, but they weren't all the same, were they? Different approaches, different focuses.
Totally. Each one unique, shaped by the specific needs of the community it served.
Todd mentions W.R. Pettiford ran the Alabama Penny Savings Bank, had this really interesting philosophy.
Pettiford, he was a visionary. He understood that home ownership, that was the key.
Make it possible for people to own their homes, and you give them stability, a path to build wealth?
Exactly. He came up with all these innovative lending practices, made it possible for black families to buy homes, even when they didn't have much to start with.
He saw a need, saw a way to address it. It's remarkable, really. But, I mean, even with these success stories, these banks were still up against it, weren't they?
Oh yeah, discrimination was still rampant, getting loans, attracting investors. It was a constant battle. And then, bam, 1893, another panic hits.
Like, they just can't catch a break, can they? How did they survive that? The ones that did, I mean.
It was tough, no doubt. Some couldn't weather the storm, but the ones that did, they were the ones who were really connected to their communities, who built trust, who were responsible with their lending.
It's that community focus that seems to make all the difference, doesn't it? Like, they understood that their success was tied to the success of the people they served.
Absolutely. And they were determined to build a better future together. One black leader from that time said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something like, "Our strength lies in our unity, in pooling our resources, in taking control of our own destiny."
It's a message that still resonates today, don't you think? The power of coming together, of building something from the ground up. Tim Todd's book, it really takes us on a journey through this often overlooked part of American history, and you can't help but see the parallels to today.
Absolutely. The fight for economic justice, it's ongoing. We still see these disparities in lending, in wealth accumulation, and black-owned banks. They're still on the front lines trying to level the playing field.
It makes you think, what can we learn from these pioneers? How can we, in our own lives, contribute to a more just and equitable financial system? That's something we all need to be thinking about. So, to our listeners, I'll leave you with this. Check out Tim Todd's book, Let Us Put Our Money Together. It's a powerful reminder of the resilience and ingenuity of Black Americans in the face of incredible adversity, and it's a call to action for all of us to continue the fight for economic justice.